Hey, I'm Ellie Costello, and we're going to do a shoulder opening practice today. We're going to do a little bit of warming up, but if you're wanting a more extensive warm up series, you could look at my first video for my favorite warm ups to do. For today, the things that you'd like to have around while we're doing this practice would be a block or something like a block. Could be a book or a firm pillow, a strap or something like a strap, a belt, a sock, whatever you find around that's helpful for you. And then a blanket. And I think you probably have a blanket, so I won't give you suggestions for that one. So, finding yourself in a comfortable seat on your blanket. We're going to sit up on the edge and let the knees come down in an easy cross-leg pose. Here, and I'll adjust. I'm still learning all of the camera things as we're at home doing practices together. So here we go. Sitting up on the edge of a blanket, letting the knees come down, relaxing through the legs, noticing where you're in contact with the floor or your prop. Maybe closing the eyes if it's comfortable, and lifting from the pelvis to the navel, and the navel to the heart, keeping the chin parallel with the floor and finding space between your teeth. Shoulders are easy and down the back body. As we feel our breath for a few moments. Maybe the rise and fall of the shoulders, the belly. Maybe pressing out through the ribs or the back spine. When you're ready, on an exhale, turning the chin towards the left shoulder and inhaling back to center. And then turning towards the right. Inhaling back to center. Once more through. Good. Opening the eyes. And then walking both hands out to the sides. We're going to drop an ear towards one shoulder. Try to roll the opposite shoulder back and down. And play with the gaze. You can look up and down. You could open and close the jaw. Linger there for a moment, hanging on any spots that feel really good. And then we'll roll forward with the chin. Once again, hanging out where you'd like. Before coming to the other side. Gazing up or down. Feeling into the neck. If you liked rolling your shoulder on that first side, you could try it again. Good. Roll back through your midline to your first side. And then return to center. And we're going to make a big circle with our chest, trying to stay parallel to the floor. So the heart stays in the same plane and just moves in a big circle, like stirring a pot. You might exhale as you go back and inhale as you come forward. And after a few times through, being sure to go the other way. And then returning to center. We're going to do a similar motion, but we're going to exaggerate it. So we're going to come way down with the head, the heart, let it leave that plane. Scoop ourselves forward and then lean as far back as you can. Go through that a few times. And then switching directions. returning to center. I like that one because one of my yoga students told me it's what he thinks of when he makes fun of yoga, which I probably tell people every time we do it. And why not? Why not do something silly? So let's take our strap, or whatever you're using as a strap today, and reach it up with the hands facing forward. Strap a little bit wider than shoulders distance. Try to find somewhat straight arms. We're not going to stay here for too long. And then try to pull the strap apart and reach it any amount back behind you. And once you start going back behind you, you might notice that it'd be a little more comfortable if you let the strap slip through your hand so that you could lower it further. So trying that out. Maybe finding a good spot to linger, maybe shifting side to side, moving the head and neck around. We'll keep going through. Eventually you'll find a space where it's really easy with the strap. And then we're going to come back the other way. Hang out anywhere that feels good. We're going to move through some of these poses faster than I might if we were in a classroom together, and so know that you can stop and take longer with them at any point, pausing the video. Good. And setting the strap aside, we're going to move what we're sitting upon out of the way and come to our seats. So we're going to find Navasana, that lovely boat pose where we balance between the tailbone and the sits bones. You can keep feet on the floor, lift them up, straighten the legs, lots of options. You can keep hands on the floor. I'm going to cue us to lift them up, but you choose what you need. Pull the low belly in, tuck the chin, and try to get as straight as you can. Good. Reach the hands alongside the legs. Turn the palms down and then just pulse here. Notice if you're trying to rock back farther and then correct yourself and lift up. Good. Good. And stopping the pulses. And then we're going to lower our heels and our heart to hover just above the mat. I'll move this block out of the way for myself. Good. So if you can, holding up with the heart and the shoulders and holding up with the heels, reaching the hands alongside you, and once again, pulsing. Lots of those little teeny tremors as we go through this. Good. And then coming all the way down to the back, gratefully being done with that for the moment. We're going to bend the knees so the knees are over the hips, and we'll take a block and place it between the thighs. Squeeze the block and try to roll it slightly down towards your heels, feeling that motion. Try to keep the sacrum heavy to the floor. We're going to just roll up the chin and the heart, and then once again pulse. Squeeze the block. Keep the pulses going. Good. And then roll down. Set the block aside. Choose a side and roll over so you can help yourself up and come to all fours. Good. I think I should be facing this way for the video. We'll try it out. We'll see if it's okay. From all fours, you get to choose for yourself. Do you want to find some cats and cows to continue to warm up your spine? Do you want to drop to an elbow and find some twists? Should you be in child's pose? Would that be right for you? Just feeling out how your spine is doing today. Good. And then we're going to take our hands and externally rotate them and then place them down on the floor so that we can rotate around, opening up the carpal tunnel area. You might come way up high onto the fingertips and even stretch out through the palms and roll the thumbs. Moving here in little shifts. It's okay if your fingertips don't point straight back to your knees. You might be somewhere along the way there. Good. We'll counter that just by bringing the backs of the hands to the mat. The fingers point towards each other. You can wiggle the fingers and thumb. You can shift around here. Should not be as intense. Lovely. And then letting the hands come down underneath your shoulders or maybe slightly in front of them. We're going to find a down dog. So curl the toes under, lift the hips up and back, send them back, bend into one knee and then the other, or starting to warm up through our down dog. So here, and most of the time, any motion you'd like to add into our postures is completely welcome. You might shift hips and heels side to side. Dog waking up and wagging its tail around as it stretches out. So as you find yourself in a more static pose and coming towards stillness, really pressing into the palms, keeping knees bent if that's more comfortable, and pulling the low belly in. And then if it's reasonable, think about pulling the low ribs in. Good. And then coming down to all fours, we'll walk our hands out, finding a puppy pose, pressing into the palms firmly as you bring the forehead down to the mat, finding deep opening through the underarms. If this is easy for you, you could bring your chest and chin to the mat, continuing to keep weight into the hands so that we're not just sinking to our most deep stretch, but we're staying active. From this very long space, walk both hands to the right, taking deep breaths into those side ribs. And then both hands to the left. Returning to center, bringing the hands back in some, curling the toes, down dog once again. Pressing firmly into your hands. After an exhale, walking forward towards a forward fold at the top of your mat. Bend the knees to be comfortable, nod yes and no. You could open and close the jaw again here. When you're ready, roll yourself all the way up. Good. Adjust your clothes, because all of us need to. And we'll move through a series together. So when we're in Tadasana, which is our mountain pose, standing on our own 2 feet, we're going to lift our toes and spread them real wide and set them back down. You know, I sort of want to grab a block. So let's do it. Let's take a block and once again place it between the thighs, squeezing it there and seeing if you could roll it back behind you, just like we did when we were on the floor. Giving yourself a lot of stability here. Okay, and then don't forget your feet again, pressing down. Flex the quads, and then pull the low belly in a little bit so that you're just taking a little bit of the natural arch out from the low back, supporting it. Okay, so we all have our blocks or whatever you're using. Squeeze them, roll them back behind you. Inhale and lift the arms up. Maybe turn the heart up. Take an exhale here. Inhale again. Exhale and fold on over, just anywhere that's comfortable. Squeeze the block, roll it behind you, and then come up halfway. So you should be facing the floor, tuck the chin, crown of the head is reaching away from the hips, and we're still squeezing the block and rolling it back behind us. Pull the low belly in, shift a little bit of the weight into the balls of the feet. Good. And now take your hands and reach them straight out from this pose. It should be some work. We're in our down dog posture, just different orientation. Remember to breathe, hold the belly in here to support you. Bring the hands on down to the heart, sit back into your invisible chair behind you, still squeezing the block between the legs, rolling it down. Lift up through the front pelvis to the navel, navel to the heart. Good. And then if you'd like, you could reach the arms, extending them out. If you start to lose some of that good feeling in your back, then bring them back down. Good. Straightening the legs, we'll take the block and set it aside. Folding over, letting the hands come down to the floor. Step way back long into your long lunge with the right foot. Good. And then just take a moment here, straighten through the front leg, any amount, and then come down onto the back knee as you bend into your front knee. Let the toenails press down into the floor, top of the foot into the floor. Anjali Asana just for a moment. I love this posture, so we'll always come here. Plant the hands down to frame your front foot, curl the back toes under, and then step back into your plank. Good. Shift your hips around a little bit here, feeling out how your spine is doing. Press, press, press into the floor so you're really separating the shoulder blades and lifting away. Pull the belly up. Good. And then shift some of the weight into the right palm. Lift up the right foot. Lift up the left hand. See if you could balance it all. Remember, no is fine. And then shift the weight into the left hand. Lift up the left foot. Lift up the right hand. Good. Both hands come down. And then we'll drop knees, chest and chin, or through chaturanga all the way to the floor. We're going to reach the left hand out along the floor. You could bend your elbow a lot, but at least bend it a little and have the hand above your shoulder height. So up towards your face. And then we're just going to roll open onto the shoulder, pressing the palm down. Taking a moment here to breathe into your shoulder. I'd recommend staying here and then finding a second posture, pausing the video, moving the hand a little bit higher, and continuing. But so that we can keep it succinct, we'll move on to the other side for now. Rolling open, finding that lovely opening through the right shoulder. You could be doing anything with your legs and bottom part. And then rolling back onto the belly once you're even on both sides. We're going to reach your hands forward, and then you're just going to tent them up like you have little cupcakes or something underneath your palms. So making little tents here on the floor. We'll roll the shoulders and the elbows down and lift up the heart. Try to drag yourself forward from your fingertips. And you'll come down. Let the hands go slightly wider. Bring the elbows down towards the floor and then roll yourself up. Exhale to come down. Let the hands go slightly wider and slightly towards you. And inhale yourself up. We're going to make a little half circle towards our shoulders with our hands. So going as many times as you need through. Eventually your palms will come to the floor. Exhaling to come down. Hands will end up right under the shoulders. You'll inhale yourself up into a more traditional cobra posture. Shoulders are back and down. Elbows hug the side ribs. Good. Tuck the chin. Try to pull yourself forward with your palms. Good. And then coming down to the floor. From here, we'll press our hips over our knees. And we're going to find a twist. I'd like us to walk the hands out towards a puppy pose, but we're not going to go all the way down with our forehead. Instead, we'll thread the right arm underneath the left, bringing the shoulder and ear down. Breathing into the right shoulder. On an inhale, you'll unwind. And on an exhale, you'll go the other way. Left arm under right. On an inhale, you'll unwind. Walk the hands in slightly, lift the hips up and back, down dog. Any movements you need are always welcome. And from down dog, we'll just step the right foot forward between the hands, straighten into the front leg just for a moment, bend back into that knee and come down onto the left knee. Let the hips sink towards the floor as you press into the top of the back foot, opening through this back quad. Good. Curl your toes under, lift up from your back knee and step forward to a standing fold. Shaking yes and no. You might walk the hands over to one side of the mat and straighten through that leg a little bit more, and then go the other way. And returning to center. Hooking the thumbs behind the ears, giving a little traction to the whole spine as you bend the knees a lot so your chest and belly can rest on them. Couple of breaths here. Try to fill your lungs and press into the back spine. And when you're ready, roll yourself all the way up. Good. Hopefully we're feeling good, feeling a little bit more open than we were, when we started practice. I was going to say the minutes, but who knows? Who knows? So, standing at the top of the mat again, we're just going to step a big step back to find a wide leg stance. And we're going to bend into this front knee. So you can adjust your stance as you'd like. I tend to like us to be more hips width distance with our heels so that we are wider in the stance. Some people might want to have their front heel dissecting the arch of the back foot. Play around with where you like your feet. We're going to bend into this front knee and then get really strong through the back foot. So press firmly into the back foot. Feel the whole left quad engage. Okay. Clasp the hands together behind the back. If it's available, let the palms come together. If not, you could have them wide. And if even more space is important for your shoulders, then use your strap and hold on to that. Reach the knuckles down towards the floor. The heart's going to lift. Sink into this front knee. Trying to find knee stacked over ankle, not past it. And then we're going to come to our humble warrior, bringing the right shoulder inside the right knee, lifting the arms overhead. Notice that right hip wants to swing out. Try to hold it into your midline. So knee and hip should be straight in line with one another. Humble warrior. Balance is tricky here. Keep pressing into the back foot to stabilize. Good. And then inhale, coming up. Grabbing your strap from wherever it is on the floor. Returning to this bent front knee. It's a lot of work for the legs to hold this pose here. And taking the strap in your right hand and just dangling it over the back. We'll clasp it wherever it falls down into that left palm. We're going to try to rip the strap apart as we lean back behind us, finding a big opening through that right shoulder. Whatever grip you find that's comfortable for you is good for that left hand. Sink into the front knee. Good. And then let the strap fall to the floor. Gratefully straighten out the front knee. Hop the back foot forward a little bit. We're going to find Trikonasana. So bringing hands to the hips, press down here and find a long side body as you tilt over your front leg. Good. Stopping wherever your hamstrings or inner thighs say to. Notice if you could flex your quad. Press into both feet, try to pull them out apart, and then let that right hand come down to the front shin or wherever it lands along your leg. And if it's available, reaching the top arm up. Good. Inhaling yourself up. Turning off of the back heel. So we're slightly shorter with our stance. You might even come a little bit shorter than we are now. We're going to find goddess arms. So arms reach up like we're a cactus, essentially. Palms are trying to reach back behind you. Shoulder blades are pulled together. So Goddess arms as we find a low or a high lunge with hips pointing in the same direction. And then we're going to bend our back knee, trying to pull this quad underneath us. So that might mean hopping the back foot forward a little bit and sitting down. So it's like we have two right angles. 90 degrees with both knees is our goal. Arms are reaching up. Goddess pose, or goddess arms. Good. Straighten into that back knee. Turn both sets of toes towards the long end of the mat, finding a wide leg pose. Squeeze the thighs together slightly. Hands to the hips once again, and just fold over to face the floor. Hands can come down to the floor, or if it's ever too far away, hands can come down to a block at any height that's comfortable. Good. Bend into one knee a lot, shifting the weight in that direction, and then bend the other way. Good. Just shifting around here. You could walk the hands towards the extended leg side, and then go the other way. And then come back to center. We're going to turn our toes out so that the toes are pointing towards the corners of the mat. And you'll probably use a block inside the right leg, planting the right hand on it. Could be on the floor if you prefer. We'll just dangle the left arm, and then we're going to slowly roll it up to stacking here. Could sit down in the leg so both knees are bent. You can stay here opening the heart up, or you might try to find a bind. You can remove the block from this bottom hand, turn the palm to face behind you, bend the elbow around that thigh, and then reach back behind you with your top hand and see if you can clasp them together. You should still be able to turn the heart up. If you find yourself ducking forward to get the bind, then just let it go and have this lovely, wide, spacious pose instead. Good. Coming down with the left hand, the block and our whole selves walks over to the left side. Dangle the right arm, roll it up. Good. Either stay here, turning the heart up, sitting down in the legs, or find the bind. Left palm faces behind you. You bend around that thigh, and you reach back to see if you can clasp your hands. Releasing if you've got that bind. Walk the hands back to center, straighten the legs, and then just turn towards the front of the mat. Find your wide-legged pose with your feet. I guess we started out standing up, so let's stand up. So feet are a wide distance apart. We're going to come down on that back heel if you're not already. We're going to bend into this front knee looking for 90 degrees and really press, press, press into your back heel. Back foot, flex that quad, and then clasp your hands together behind your back because we're moving towards that humble warrior. Find an opposite clasp, so whichever thumb naturally goes on top, switch it and then let all the fingers follow. Reach the arms towards the floor, heart lifts. And then come down, left shoulder inside, left knee, humble warrior, hugging the hip in to midline. Press the feet away from one another. Stay grounded in your back right foot. Inhale yourself up. Find that strap. Still staying bent in this front knee. Keep it burning. Reach the strap overhead with the left hand. Clasp it behind your back with the right. And we're going to pull ourselves back into a reverse warrior, finding a big opening here through the arms, pulling the strap apart. Releasing the strap. Turning off of the back heel. Staying on your back heel, straighten the front leg. Apparently I haven't had enough water today. The words, they get mixed up. Hop the back foot forward. Good. Try to pull the mat apart with your feet. Hands come to the hips, long in the side body. Reach your side body over this left leg. Good. Press down firmly, flex your quad. Maybe you reach the left arm down the shin and the right arm up. Trikonasana. Hands can come back down. Lifting up the torso, spinning off of the back heel and turning the hips to face what was the back of the room. We're going to bend into that back knee, so you might hop your stance even closer together. And we'll find goddess arms once again. So arms reaching up like a cactus, hands reach back behind you, shoulders plug in together, drop into the back knee. See if you could pull the low belly in to increase some of the strengthening and stretching you're feeling through that right quad. Wonderful. Straightening that back leg, letting both feet come down, walking them in to a wide leg pose. Once again, squeeze the thighs together, face the floor. Feel free to use the block if that's better for you. And then plant the right hand underneath the face. Shift a little of the weight into the balls of the feet. Squeeze the thighs, and then find a twist as you exhale, reaching either the left hand up above you or placing it on your sacrum. Letting the right hip come down and the hips to shift as they ask to. Inhaling to unwind and place the left hand underneath you. Exhaling to find the twist on the second side. Inhaling to unwind, both hands come down. We'll walk the feet together, letting the toes point out towards the corners of the mat, slightly wider from hips width distance. And we're just going to set our hips down into a wide leg squat. So here you have some options. If your heels want to stay up high while you're squatting, you can place a blanket underneath them to support you there. Great place to be. If it's a lot on your knees to wait here, then you could put a block underneath you and sit on it and take the same posture. Whatever feels right for your pose. Press into the thighs, press into the knees, squeeze back into the triceps. Let that give you a place to sit up tall. Good. Enjoying this for a few breaths. And then sitting all the way down onto your tuchus, letting the legs come out in front of you, and the legs to go wide here. Shifting out all of the good stuff behind you. And we're just gonna reach the right hand along the inside of the right leg. Notice if you're all flopsy with your feet and engage them. Flex the quads, press the legs down. And then reach the left hand back towards, as if you could touch like the place where the corner of the walls and the ceiling meet and all come together, turning the heart. You could maybe come down onto an elbow inside that thigh, if that's right, or come down on your shoulder. Wherever you land, you turn that top hand, the left hand, palm down to the floor as you reach overhead, spinning the heart up. Good. Coming back up. Left hand reaches along the inside of the left leg. Right hand reaches back, turning the heart. Once you've found the place that you would like to be with that arm, reach the right hand overhead, palm down towards the floor, continuing to spin the heart up. Inhaling yourself back up. Good. And we're going to come onto all fours once again. This time, we're going to bring the heels and the feet close together. If you need to, you can always pad out your knees or sit on a blanket so that your ankles come, or your feet come off the blanket and your ankles are supported. We're going to bring the crown of our head down to the floor and bring our forehead as close as we can to our knees. And then we'll reach back and take a hold of our feet or our ankles or whatever you find there. And once you've got a good hold, lift the hips up, try to stack them over the knees, letting yourself have a nice big stretch through the shoulders and through the whole back body. Good. Coming out of your rabbit pose and sitting up on the edge of a blanket once again. We'll take a fire log pose where we flex the left foot, placing the shin somewhat parallel to the short end of your mat. Flex the right foot. Try to stack the sole of the right foot so that it's even with the top of the left knee. And we're going to invite our right knee to come down towards our left foot. You have options here. If you have blocks around you, you can place one underneath your bottom knee to support you. You could place one between your knees. Some people, this is a very open space and they can let the knees come together, knees and feet. Some people might be up here for a long time. Finding what supports you like, what supports feel good in your knees, and taking that. And then we're going to reach the arms out from wherever we've gotten with this fire log pose. Cross the right arm underneath the left, wind them up. Squeeze the elbows together. Try to reach them away from your heart. If this wind is not available, grab for opposite shoulders, squeeze them together, lift them away from your heart. Good. Breathe here into the shoulders and the hips. Good. And release. And switch legs. So right leg to the bottom, flexing the foot. Left foot to the top. Sole of the foot becomes parallel with the top, comes in line with the top of the knee. Opening up those hips, letting that knee come down any amount. Decide how you like to prop the pose. And then the arms will reach wide. And the left arm will come underneath the right and we'll wind ourselves up, squeezing the arms together, reaching them apart. Of course, welcome to grab shoulders here. Releasing the arms, moving aside your props. We'll just take our ankles and pull our knees towards stacking on one another. So we're moving to Gomukhasana, which is our cow face pose. You want to see if you could get your hips a little bit more even on the ground than where they probably ended up. So you can pick yourself up and move yourself towards that right side a little bit. And then the right arm could, if you would like to take the arm postures, reach up and back between your shoulder blades, and the left hand could turn down, palm faces behind you, bends around to try to clasp the fingers, or maybe clasp your t-shirt or a strap. Let the shoulders relax down. And if this isn't enough craziness, then you come forward. Inhale yourself back up. And here is the fun part. You could just switch which leg is on top, or you could leave your feet right where they are. Lift your body up, spin around to the back of the mat, keep spinning all the way around, and then voila, the opposite leg is on top. Great. Adjusting yourself so you feel even in the seat. And if you'd like to take the arms, the left arm reaches up, bends back between the shoulder blades with those fingertips, right hand palm behind you, and then reaches up to find the clasp. Staying here if this is the right spot, or coming forward. Inhaling yourself up, releasing the hands, helping your knees apart as you unwind the legs. And we'll come down to our backs on the mat. Bringing the hands to the knees, knees over the hips, and we'll just stir up, massaging our sacrum into the floor, feeling free to rock and stay in any spot that feels pretty good. Making sure to go in circles both ways if you're staying with the circles. Good. And then with the knees over the hips, we'll just drop the knees off to one side, leaving the shoulders against the floor. You could extend your arms. You could look over the opposite shoulder from where you've dropped your knees. And then lifting the knees up over the hips again, dropping them off the other way. Returning to center, finding any final postures you'd like before we lie down in Shavasana. For Shavasana, you lie with the legs outstretched. You might place a blanket underneath your knees if it's a lot on your back to have the legs out or it feels tweaky at all. You let the hands open up to the sides. You might place them on the chest and belly. I do recommend grabbing yourself a blanket and covering yourself up because it gets chilly when you lie down here. Finding all of the props you need and taking your time to get comfortable in Shavasana. As you lie back here, getting any wiggles out you need to. Try to relax into the floor, noticing those places where you're in contact with the floor or a prop. And giving up into them. Softening the throat. Finding space between the teeth. Letting the tongue fall away from the roof of your mouth. The eyes sink a little more into the sockets. The brow is smooth. The breath is smooth. If you have time in your day remaining in this Shavasana posture, 5 minutes, 15, 35. Letting yourself rest here. If you're ready to move on, bending the knees, rolling off to one side or the other. And then using the strength in the arms to lift yourself up to a comfortable seat once again. Taking a deep inhale through the nose, sighing out through the mouth. And once again. And once more. Thank you so much for practicing with me whenever you've chosen to watch this video. I hope you go well and stay well, and that your time at home during this quarantine period is positive. Glad that you were here, and hopefully see you again next week. Thanks.